Lolly, how about you up on top of the ship with what's his name from Aerosmith?
Stevie Salas. Yeah, he came down too, and I think Shalesy told me that he had something to do with Aerosmith. So I spent 20 minutes trying to see if he wanted to start a band called Lollysmith. He had wanted fuck all to do with me. So that didn't end well for my singing career, but.
Ladies man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls all at once, they used me.
Bye baseball.
My mother said it was naughty, but I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very
And the Lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by CoolBet. If you got a few extra bucks rattling around in your arse pocket, CoolBet Sportsbook will double your first deposit up to $200 when you use the bonus code DUSTUP. Head over to coolbet.com and get in on the fastest growing entertainment sector in the world. That bonus code again is DUSTUP, one word, all capital letters, DUSTUP.
I want to call bullshit on one thing before we start. Lolly, you did not shoot 180, by the way. I'm calling bullshit on that.
What are you talking about? That's on the regular. I'm not even surprised when I do that anymore.
Shoot 180 what?
In darts.
Oh my God.
Were they my darts, by the way?
No, I wouldn't give you the satisfaction of me doing it with your darts.
I'm calling bullshit again. Hey, Hilly, were you there to see it?
Nobody was there to see it.
No one was there to see Will Chamberlain score 100 points, but he did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the forum was full. There was like 18,000 people there.
Ah, well, fuck.
Yeah, and he probably wasn't playing by himself either.
Listen, I'm not looking to impress you guys. I know what I did. So,
right.
There you go.
I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah.
Hilly's in a virtual dart league.
Virtual dart league?
Yeah.
Since lockdown.
Who's in it? Hilly? I know Cadigan's in
it. Camel's in it. Brian Roach. Nagel's in it.
Like you actually throw real darts, or you throw swipe up on your computer or on your iPad?
No. We're throwing real darts.
Okay.
The hardest part is to get the camera set up. I got 2 bar stools and about 15 records and a wooden box, and my laptop goes on top of that. I pointed to the dartboard. You
should get a fucking GoPro.
But it's good. The boys have been doing it. They've had 5 seasons, and this is where they had 4 seasons. This is season 5, and I guess they had a player drop out. And Rochi asked me one day if I wanted to play, and I was like, "Yeah, fuck."
That's cool.
I was looking at nothing in the evenings, and it's only 1 game a week, and it takes about an hour and a half, and then by the time the beer kicks in and you start gambling, another hour and a half on top of that, and, and it's a great laugh though. But all good dart players, like really good dart players.
Do you know those guys, Obi? Do you know Brian Roach and Sean Cadigan?
Yeah.
So those guys.
I used to grow up in Outer Cove, right? You play with Kenny Nagel too?
Stevie Rice is my partner.
Oh, fuck. Well, Rice. Well, we used to have a beer bottle drive a day, and we go to the Rice's family house, and we go to one place, and our beer bottle drive was done. It was insane. They played darts. Like they used to save up enough money for all the Rice brothers. I think there were 6 of them, like Steven's old man and stuff, Hal and all of them. And they would have enough money in their beer bottles for 1 year or whatever season, dart season, whatever months it was. So 6 of them flew to Montreal for the weekend, watched 3 Montreal hockey games, hotels, all taken care of with the beer bottles.
That's nuts. It's not surprising, but it is impressive.
Probably around here is probably the easiest, best, quickest fundraiser. Like minor sports teams. Yeah. Hey, your kids on hockey team they're doing a bottle drive. You know where to call. You might have to go to 2 houses, right? Yeah, now you might have to go
drive
back
and
forth to the house 2 or 3 times. You're done.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, it was just nuts. Like, as they used to have a deal with Molson, they would have the 2 breweries fighting up with each other to get who give them the best deal. Like to get 2-on-1 or 1-on-1 case. Like they would have Labatt's and Molson fighting over the Rice Brothers Dart League. It was so what brand they were drinking. Yeah. It was fucking.
So those guys, they're big in the softball community in Newfoundland. Had a great local career. They've been core part of our Galway Hitman team that's gone. Just unbelievable coaches and management, the whole 9 yards. We get there because of those guys, and they're just great to be around. What I didn't realize until we started going away on these nationals, some of the places we go, whether we're staying at a cottage or we're staying at some sort of hotel, that they got these the horseshoe pits, and the two of them, if horseshoes was an Olympic sport, they'd be Michael Phelps's.
Back home, used to throw the horses, didn't they?
Yeah, but they're reigning champs. So these what we call them sports in Newfoundland, but the darts, the horseshoes,
all the drinking games,
the boys are deadly at them, man.
Ladder golf,
Newfie Olympics.
Obi, you're 45 minutes away from me. We're used to seeing each other all the time, and a lot of what we do is around getting together, drinking beer. It's either at the bar in Fergus or at your house in Elora with everyone that is normally at the bar coming back, and we get a concert going on, or we're down here, and it's brutal. It is.
Hey,
it's nuts.
You know how much I miss live music, man. Like live music, it's like, I don't think I miss it that much, but I miss it a lot. It's insane.
Yeah. That's what I said to my wife. Yeah. I said, when this gets over, I just want to go out and sit down at a small pub, and just hear someone sing live. And I want to be like 10 feet away from them, just staring at them.
Be a groupie all of a sudden. Yeah, I understand what you mean, man. Like St. Paddy's Day is coming up, and that's the biggest day of our year. And, it's like we're hoping we go into Orange soon, and that allows us 50 people inside. And if we're allowed that, I'm having a St. Paddy's Day party. Like, I'm doing something. Like, they got me last year. They closed me down on the 16th, and that killed me. So,
wow.
We need some Irish music up here.
Hilly's had a couple of nights up to the Noof there, haven't you, bud?
Yeah, I think we're up there 2 or 3 times, maybe.
Yeah.
Some Newfie steak and
a few
pints.
We went up there one day after you missed your flight. I said, all right, what are we going to do?
Bradley.
Well, guess what? We're going up to the Noof. And
I came home one day because I was somewhere, and I've come in the driveway, and it's you and Hilly and Bradley, and there was like 6 of you sitting on my front lawn having beers. I didn't know where you guys even fucking came from. I was there. What the fuck? I think I was
to the place.
I was in Circle Tap or something. Beck was out drinking with you. She was out in the middle of the fucking pile. I was like,
you had another bar, didn't you? You had another.
Yeah, I had 3. I had O'Brien's and O'Bean's. So Beans was a licensed coffee bar. That was the dumbest thing I've ever done. But
I don't know how it didn't take off with a clever name like O'Bean's.
But it was right next. It was right next to my pub called O'Brien's. The thing is that O'Brien's closed at fucking 3 a.m, and O'Bean's opened up at 5. I was like, fuck that. Who wants to work this thing? So that was just a dumb move.
Oh, boy. You can't make this up.
No. Well, O'Brien's was a lot of fun, though. Hey, Lolly.
Oh, it's wicked. It's the typical, we would call Irish Newfie pub. I think you could fit 50 people in there. It's packed and it's humming. You had to put the band over in the corner next to the speakers, and then you look out.
I think I was actually licensed. I was licensed for 32 people, and we would put in about 110.
Yeah,
like it was.
Is that the one? Is that the one you could see on the patio of the Noof? Like,
yeah,
right across the you can see it. Yeah. So I'm like the way the beer fridge was. If I was behind the bar serving, Lolly would stand at the end of the bar, and there were so many people there, I couldn't get to the beer fridge. So whoever the customer that night was standing there would be an extra bartender. I would ask this person or Lolly, like, "Hey, grab me 2 Coors Lights." He'd open them, hand them to me. I'd hand them to the person who bought them. Like it was a shit show, man.
Now, one thing I had wrote down I wanted to ask you about was Gerard Gallant. I know you and him are buddies.
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I heard he played ball. He was a ball player as well.
Man, he was a third baseman, and pretty good third baseman. Couldn't hit worth a shit. He was like a 125 hitter. but having a guy on your team like that,
it's like Lolly cool. Right now.
That's my average after sitting out 2 years.
he was one of those guys. Like, yeah, if you needed a hit in the 6th inning to be still in the game, well, that's when you got from him then, right? And he you know what, just sitting on the bench with him and listen to his stories about everything. Like, you're a big Red Wing fan, Hilly, and like telling me stories about Probert and Koser and stuff like I drove back with him. We were in PEI for the Canadians one year, and I was playing with the PEI team. And it was the same year that Air Canada had a strike. So he needed to get to Fort Wayne, Indiana to coach. He was coaching in the IHL. So he said to me, he goes, "You need to get back." I said, "I know." I said, "I got to get back home." And he goes, "Do you want to drive?" I was there. Sure. So me and him got into his brand new BMW at the time. And so we started driving back. So we drove all the way from PEI to Ontario together. And man, the stories that we had, like, I didn't say a word. I just listened to stories the whole time he was telling me. And that was worth the whole time I was with him, man. It was pretty cool. Like about Peter Klima drinking, being caught 3 times one night with a DUI. Like he was telling me stories that, like, Probert fighting stories that you would never read in a book or hear anything. It was pretty incredible. I got to say, stuff that I'll take with me. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
I'm a Wings fan. I'm just curious right now because that Blashill got to go. Any insight on Turk? Is he going to sign anywhere? Or can you give me something so I can tweet Bob McKenzie tomorrow and break something? Break the trade.
To be honest, like, him and Yzerman are like best friends, right? Like, Yzerman is his godfather to his kids, and vice versa. Like, 2 of them are best friends. And it's a funny story. Like, I was in Windsor, Ontario. Me and my brother Sean were down there. So Turk was coaching Columbus at the time, and so I messaged him. I said, "Hey, you're in Detroit tomorrow night." And I said, "I'm here tonight, pretty much." I said, "Are you in town?" He goes, "I don't get in tomorrow." He said, "But when do you go to the game tonight?" I was there. "Who's playing?" And he said it was Detroit and Colorado, and that's when they had that big rivalry, right? Where Claude Lemieux and all of them were playing. Oh, yeah. So I said, "Listen, don't worry about it." I said, I don't have tickets." He goes, "I'll make a few phone calls. I'll get back to you." I said, "Great." So about, I just say half an hour later, my phone rings and it's not Turk. And he goes, "Hey, I was just talking to Turk, and he said I heard you want to come to the game tonight." I said, I was thinking about it, my brother and I. And he said, "Well, I just gave my tickets away." He goes, "It's a big rivalry tonight." I guess I really got nothing left. I said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "I'll just see Turk tomorrow night." I said, "Can I tell him who's calling?" He said, "Yeah, it's only Steve. Don't worry about it." It was fucking Yzerman that called me. I'm there like, I better save that one in my phone. Yeah. So I didn't know that until I didn't know that until Turk called me later, and he goes, "Hey, were you talking to Stevie?" I was there. "Stevie who?" And he goes, "Yzerman." I was there. "Are you fucking kidding me?" I said, "I was talking to Steve Yzerman. I had no idea." It was pretty cool. But then we ended up going to see Turk next night. And so Sean and I are at the game, and he didn't know where we were sitting. Well, honestly, Ron Tugnut was on the bench as a backup goalie, and Sean and I were sitting right next to him. So Turk the whole night was looking for us. So he finally looked over the corner, and we got about like 16 Miller Lights lined up against the glass window. And he goes, "All right, there you are." He gave me the nod, right? Cool. Yeah. We ended up meeting Probert and Koser that night. Probert was still playing, and Koser was like their analysis or something for the team. So we ended up having a few beers with those guys that night. It was actually pretty cool. It was
cool, man. Cool.
Yeah, it is wicked.
So he's going to Detroit. I can tweet that tomorrow.
Well, you're a hell of a hockey player. When you were growing up, I got to see you one time at a skate up in Fergus. You were shit that day, but you're pretty good apparently growing up, were you?
I guess it was all right. Like, some people said I could play, some people hated me, but that's part of hockey. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I had that tryout with the St. John's Maple Leafs. All right, we went and skated with those guys, and Tom Watt was the coach, and a couple of my buddies played, like Greg Weber played, and Ricky Field played. I never got a chance to play, but it was a lot of fun. You could go out there, I wore the Leafs jersey, number 7. I thought I was Gary Roberts for a little bit, but it was a lot of fun.
So back in '93, you made the junior team Canada, and went to New Zealand and won in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So walked
I got to
away.
say, man, out of highlights, that was the first real championship that I ever won. And honestly, at the time, I had no idea what it really meant until I look back at it. To be honest, two days ago, it was our 28th anniversary of winning it to the date.
No way.
And it was weird. There's a picture downstairs in my basement, and I don't know what I was doing next to it, and I there was a date on it. I was like, holy Christ. I said, like, it was 28 years ago today that I won this thing. And man, I got to say, it was pretty cool. Like, first time ever playing for Canada. I thought it was pretty big playing for Newfoundland at the Midget Canadians that year, and we won the Midget Canadians. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And then I get invited to a camp right after, so we stayed. It was me, Greg Weber, and Mike Tilley. And, you know, we tried out for this Team Canada, and honestly, we didn't really know how really big it was until we made it. And we get all this free shit in the mail come to us. Like, you get a bat, you get a glove, like, this is cool. And you Canada wrote all over it. And next thing you know, we're in February, in the middle of winter, our hockey season. And we end up going down to New Zealand and beat New Zealand in finals, man. It was actually pretty cool. We played with guys who, out of that whole team, was Jody Ite, Rob Giesbrook, myself, Ryan Brand played a little bit after. But there wasn't a lot of guys out of, say, 17, 18 guys that went down there on that team in 1993. There's not even a handful that still played after. It was like a misfit group. Like, there was guys that should have been on that team, like Robbie Schweier. Like, no doubt Schweier should have been on that team, but for some reason he didn't make it. And I still don't know to this day why not. And like Donnie Scott tried out. There was a lot of guys and names that went down and still played that never made that team. And
that's crazy.
It was an experience, man. It was a hell of an experience. Yeah. Like, to hear your national anthem played on a field in the middle, like on the other end of the world. And back then there was no cell phone. It's a pay phone to call home. Probably cost me $80 to make that one phone call, but it was pretty cool, I gotta say.
All right, Opes. So just taking it back to back a bit, when you grew up here in Newfoundland, you grew up in Airport Heights in Newfoundland, about 5 minutes from the airport. What was the minor ball situation back then? Was there much in the way of minor ball, or did you just play all-star, or how did it all work back then?
You know what? Way back when, like, my old man played, and you know what? There wasn't any ball up by us. There really wasn't. So I first started with like higher levels down, you know, with I can't remember his name right now. Anyway, he was in like the heart of St. John's, and then as I started playing there, like, the ball wasn't the best. You know, it was fun. We had a lot of good times there, but living down Airport Heights, and I kept on playing against Outer Cove all the time. And then Cabot Street. Cabot Street had a good team. Greg Weber was playing there, and Webb pitched back in the day. And then, you know, Outer Cove is where I pretty much grew up after that, like, good teams. And we started playing a little more and playing together. And then that led into the Canada Games team, this and that. And, you know, we had a midget team that went to Antigonish one year and played as an Outer Cove team. And that's where it pretty much took off from there. And, that's, I got to give credit to Newfoundland ball, man. Like, that's where it all started. Like, up here in Ontario, where, say, if you're age 13, as my son is right now, like, he gets to play on one team, right? And so they'll try to create a travel team and play against a loop. And the loop is pretty big, don't get me wrong, but you're playing on this one team the same time. Man, when I played back home, I played in 5 different leagues. Like, and I don't know how mom and dad got me from one game to another, or like, because it was a lot of work, but that's what made us so much, I'm not saying better back home, but that's why we have such a hotbed of good ball players back in Newfoundland. Because if you're good enough, I remember at 14 years old, I was 14, I was playing in the senior league. I was playing with your old man, Hilly. And I got my ass handed to me, I did. But I learned a lot from that.
That's right.
Like, they had me batting leadoff one year. Like, I was a fat fucking short kid, for Christ's sake. What am I doing batting leadoff? All right. And that's,
but you're at Lions Park 6 nights a week. You're taking everything in. You're getting, you know, 50 swings a week.
Yeah, like at 14, I was getting the bats against like Bill Davis, and then I was facing Jerome Brocklehurst, and you know, I was like Ronnie Boland was on my team, and I was watching these guys play, and I was there like, this is pretty cool. That's what I do. I want to get to their level, and then I played, like, we played midget, we played the Canada Games team, we played junior ball. Then I started playing senior C. I played the Mercantile League, and I was playing all these in one year, and honestly, I was pitching probably 2 to 3 games a night when I was doing it, and never thought anything of it. I said, this is what I want to do. Like this, I'm having fun doing it. Right. And then having my first beers, you know, with the boys, like, that was a great laugh. That was. But
this is really what I want to do.
Yeah. This is wicked trunk beers. Like, I wish they were a little colder, but yeah, it was fun. And, but that's what I give Newfoundland credit for, man. Like, letting the guys get better and succeed. No one was there to stop you. If you were good enough to play, you played. That was the difference between Newfoundland and Ontario. They keep you in the bracket. They want to keep you there to try to develop. Like, fuck that. If you're good enough to play, go play it. That was my theory. Still is to this day, but.
Well, you're bang on when it comes to that. And I think that's something I know both Hilly and I experienced. We didn't play in 5 different leagues, and I wasn't in the St. John Senior League at 14. That's insane, by the way. But we got to play in the Canada Games team, junior team, and senior team all in one year during the Canada Games. They're playing double headers and all that every night. But it's similar to when we made the jump to the ISC. And the thing that I found that kind of parallel Newfoundland and playing in the ISC is you get to play with some established ball players. And if you're lucky, you get some really good ones, you being one for both of us, that take you under their wings, show you the ropes, introduce you to a few of the guys. And then it's the having the beers off the field, right? Like if you're a ball player in Newfoundland, you learn how to drink out in the parking lot of Lions Park. But you brought up Bill Davis. And was he as nuts back in his kind of heyday as people say he was?
Oh, fuck. He was worse than that, man. Him, like, there was all the Davises. There's like 4 of them: Jim, Moose, Bill, and Denny on the one team. And me being that young, and these guys weren't like, 5'4", 120 pounds. These guys were like 6'6", 6'7", 300 pounds. They were fucking like big wrestlers. And they were fucking crazy. And like Moose, their brother, he was even bigger again. He played first base. Mike was his name, but everyone called him Moose Davis. And he was a great hitter too, man. Like they all could play. And it's not like they just were there to intimidate you, which they did. They could play. And Jim was the oldest, and Jim was like the coach, player. He was the mouthiest one. He chirped them all, and he was the skinniest of them all. He was probably like 6'2", 160 pounds, but all the rest like were 6'7", 320. So he was like my brother Mike in the background, chirping everyone. I had to fight for like the same fucking thing. All right. But yeah, it was fun. It was something to do growing up playing there, man. It made you a man pretty quick. It really, really did. And I wish the exposure that you guys and all the newfies are getting now, which is amazing, that they deserve every bit of it, that the old school players got. Because, man, there was so many ball players back there that didn't leave the island to play, and they could have. They could have played anywhere. Well, I played in so many ISC teams and played in caliber ball all over the world, that there's so many Newfoundland players that really, really could have played that game and made something of it. But they were, they had jobs at home. Like they could be firemen, they could be policemen, they could do it. They had everyday jobs, and they just didn't want to leave, and they stayed home. And it's a shame. Like I wish they could have had the chance, like we all did, to go and play the ball that we did. I really wish they did.
I wanted to ask you, and I don't mean to backtrack again, but just back to the junior nationals in St. John's when you played with Napanee. It was what, 97, I think it was.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And you guys, I just wanted to know, like, what was it like playing in St. John's junior nationals, not for Newfoundland, and then winning? Yeah. for not for Newfoundland. Like, were you booed? Were you cheered? Or like,
fucking great, man. That was one of the toughest things I did. And everyone gave me a hard time for that. And like, there was people with signs. They bring signs down, like 3 more stamps. We could have had you home. You're on unemployment. All this. There was people saying everything to me. But when it was all said and done, and we did have the best team there, and we wanted, people cheered me on, and all my friends and everything, like they celebrated with us. But it was honestly really one of the toughest things I did, because Newfoundland had a really good team as well. And people say, you went to Napanee for money, this and that, and other things. And that was a big part of it. It really was. Don't get me wrong. But just the schedule up in Ontario was so much different than Newfoundland, right? And you guys know that too. That's why you guys went away as well. It's like back home, weather permitting, you could play 25 games, maybe 30 at the max before a major event. In Ontario, I was playing 100 games, right? And I was pitching probably 96 of them. And we weren't only playing against junior teams. That Napanee junior team that year, we played against the Gators nonstop. We played against, like, I had Darren Zach pitching and Brad on. We played against Owen Sound, had Coxie in his prime. Every team in Ontario had 2 solid pitchers. And we never played in the junior bracket. We played in the senior bracket. and we competed. Like we actually beat the Gators one time, and we were like, what the fuck? We just beat Darren Zach. Like we're in 18, 19-year-old kids. And we had a dynamite team. We really did. And that's one of the main reasons why I went, because I wanted to better myself.
Yep. So did that like set off your IC career? Was that your Robbie O'Brien's coming out party? And then
pretty much that was it. That's when other teams like Pete Percelli called me that year when I was still playing junior. He wanted me to play the ASAs in Tampa. And it was pretty much a done deal. I was pretty much almost ready to get on a plane and go. But something else happened with the ASA rules, and they had it open at the time, and then they changed it. You're only allowed 2 imports. So me being younger, they just kiboshed me going, and it made sense. But that would have been my first experience in ASAs too, which would have been cool. But yeah, that was pretty much let's open the door and see what's going from here. And then that was a big moment in my life. It really was, playing home and in front of my grandparents who are now gone, and playing in front of a lot of people that are pretty much gone right now as well. Like, guys like Nick Thistle and then other guys. It was a lot of fun. It meant a lot to me to play there.
When you made that the jump into the ISC, because I remember the first time I knew the name Rob O'Brien from just growing up in Newfoundland. If you love softball in Newfoundland, you and your brother. And when I first got to see you was when I was playing with Town Line and living down with Jesso, Stephen Jesso and Jeff Evely. And we played in that local Denmark League in Wisconsin. But then we would play in the Wisconsin Travel League every weekend. And that's back when the ISC's travel season was 9, 10, 11 weekends, back to back to back. And I remember when I first saw you, and we were playing, you were pitching for Circle Tap. I'm playing with Town Line. And Gustavo Guarineri hit a home run off you.
That still hasn't landed.
It was one of the biggest fucking home runs I've ever seen.
Me too.
But he swung so hard that he grunted when he hit the ball. And it wasn't, it was, and it launched over
house
over the house, and everybody else stood up, but me and Saki and Jesso, we just looked at you. We said, "Oh, this is not going to be good." He is going, and sure enough, do you remember you followed him around the bases, and you're red, you're vibrating, and you were standing at home plate waiting for him to get in, and all I remember, because I came out, I wanted to be the first one to greet him because I wanted to see what you were going to say to him. He said, "Hey, you fucker," he said, "you ever do that again?" He said, "I'm drilling you from now to the end of your career." And do you remember that?
Oh, in a heartbeat. Because the thing is that I don't like, I've given up home runs, and this one was probably the biggest I've ever seen. And we played in back home where no one showed each other up. Where if you fucking hit a home run, you put your hand down, your head down, you ran around the fucking bases. And you know what? The best part of the whole story is, Lolly, he bought me beers the rest of that weekend.
He was frightened to death. And I don't blame him. We all
was.
Proper thing.
Oh, man.
Proper thing.
And the thing is, like I said before, like back in Newfoundland, that never happened. And we weren't used to that either, right? Because no one knew if you showed each other up. Because you knew you were going to get drilled if you showed someone up. But when we start playing against all these international guys, like playing from guys from Dominican and even New Zealand and Australia. Australians are like Canadians. They don't show anyone up. I love those guys. And, but like Argentinians, like they never knew the the way we played. And man, they brought a flair to the game. I don't know if we didn't like it or it's just, that's the way they played, but they changed their tune pretty quick too. They stopped doing all that shit. Like I remember another guy doing an airplane going around the bases as he hit a home run off me. That plane crashed. He got it. He got it the next time he came up. Right? So that's just the way our game was. Like, don't show me up. And I get hit too. So if I hit a home run on, I put my head down. I ran around the fucking bases as fast as I could. Got in because I stood on the mound just like the other guy. Like I didn't want to show him up. I knew that he made a mistake. I capitalized on. So don't do it to me because I made a mistake as well. Right? That was just a part of our game. Which we got to bring back. Sorry, go ahead.
I know you played with St. Joe. What were they called? Frontier Casino.
Frontier Casino. Yep. St. Joe, Missouri.
So was that
yep.
was that with Whitey?
Yeah. Me and Whitey played together there. Yeah, that's a guy, man.
What was it like?
He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot. He really, really did. He was one of those guys, and people say like Kiwis stay together and keep all the information together. And then that probably is true. Like, like Canadians do the same thing. We keep everything.
Everyone
we all talk to our buddies. But Whitey was one of those guys that he wanted to win. So he didn't care what team he was on. He helped you no matter what. And like Lolly verified this, we played with him not really as well, that he took you under your wing, man. Like he was in the prime of his day when I played with him in St. Joe. And he was showing me stuff that I never thought I would need to know. Like I remembered every pitch I threw after that. Like every pitch to every batter I threw for weeks. I knew they're out. I knew what their weakness was, and they probably knew what mine is too. But I had to overcome that. And just like picking pitchers, Whitey helped me a lot. Like there's one game I'm out there and we were studying every pitcher we could, and we just couldn't get him. And this guy was throwing rockets. It was this Australian kid. I can't remember his name. Darby, I think his name was. And he was throwing hard, man. And all of a sudden, Whitey looks at me. He goes, "His eyebrow." I was there. What's wrong with his fucking eyebrow? And he goes, he lifts it. He goes, when he throws his change up, he lifts his eyebrow. I was there. What? So I get up at bat, and he's throwing fucking rise balls I can't see. And all of a sudden, the eyebrow lifted like the rock. And I was there. Holy fuck. Change up. So I sat there, and I got it, and I hit it a ton. And I was there. I can't believe we got this guy on his eyebrow. And
that's insane.
But Whitey was one of those guys who didn't hit, but he studied every pitcher just as much as we did. He studied if a second baseman would cheat on a inside pitch on you if you're a left-handed batter. He just picked all that stuff up. And even to this day right now, he's coaching down in Texas, and he's doing college ball and doing very well for himself, man. And good for him, because he deserves to be in this game for a long time and still helping other people. He's a good guy. I really like him.
I see. There's a bunch of like former fast pitch players coaching NCAA women's teams.
Yeah. And you know what? Good for them, because there's a lot of guys in our game who don't get a lot of respect because we're softball players, as people think, right? We're not baseball players, but the knowledge in this game, and a lot of guys who are giving it back to younger kids. Good for them, man. I wish I had the time to do it as well. Like I helped my son in his leagues, but I wish I had time to go coach NCAA, and like that'd be an experience in itself as well, because it's huge in the States. Like as we all see, it's gigantic.
Yeah. When you mentioned playing with Whitey, he's one of those guys. And you look back on who you had a chance to play with, some of these great players, and it's amazing how even though you don't spend a lot of time with someone, but the impression that they leave with you can last a lifetime. And he's one of those ball players that he didn't have to be as welcoming or as forthcoming or try and help you as much as he did. But he's the type of guy, come over and sit down by in the dugout, just ask you how you're doing, how your day going, and help you with your swing. For a guy that didn't hit, he was one of the best hitting coaches I've ever had help me. And then with picking pitchers, it's insane. But
I agree with you, man. I really do.
And over your ISC career, you've had an opportunity to play with and against the best. And what's really cool, knowing you and your career in the ISC, how much you wanted to win an ISC ring, and how you and Sean had that goal of winning an ISC championship together before you both retired from the game, and you got to do that in 2010 with Jarvis. How was that experience for you?
That was probably one of, like I said earlier, like 1993 was special, but this was probably one of the special things I've ever done, because from Sean and I back home playing catch every day, making up our own games outside, like from the time we were 8 years old and stuff like that, to when we started finally traveling for a ball. And our goal was to win a world championships together. It really was. And I mean, when he was he's 3 years older than me, and like say he's 23, I'm 20, and we're finally playing on the big stage. And he said, our big goal is to win something together. And I was like, yeah, fucking right, man. Like this is my dream as well. And it took a while. It really did, because our paths always crossed, but we never really played. We played on all the Canadian teams together, but we never really played on an ISC club team together. And when we finally got the shot to do it, we were getting later on in our careers, we were like, if we don't do it now, we never will. And so we did. And then, you know, it helps having Adam Folkart on your team at the time, and then Nick Shales and all these other big guys. And we had like Rona. Anyway, so, but it was actually one of the biggest things of my career. It really was. And it was special and something that him and I will have for the rest of our lives. And we look back at it, like even talking to our kids, you know, it's still a lot of fun. It really was, man. It was pretty cool.
I think I got to throw to Sean once in 2010, maybe PEI Nationals. I don't know if you were with us then, Obi. I think you might have been with Kitchener then. I'm not sure.
It's probably a highlight of
PEI
Sean's career. I'd say he remembers it really well.
Yeah.
Getting to catch
I was just thinking,
I was just thinking,
I would like to throw to him more. You know, I think it could have, you know, helped my pitching career explode.
It helped mine. It helped a lot of people. It's like, I'm not going to talk bad about any catcher in the game, but there was probably two catchers that I played with over 20 something year career. Patty Shannon was a better hitter. Yes, he was. No doubt in my mind. But Sean was probably the best receiver I've ever thrown a ball to. And you can probably ask any guy out there, especially in Canada for sure. But I say even all over the world, whoever threw to him, there was nobody who read a hitter more like better than what Sean did. Sean knew the batter more better than we did on the mound. He did not let us think. And that's the last thing you want a pitcher to do, is think out there. And he took the game over, man. And here's a story for you. Like we're playing in the Canadians, and it was in first Canadians that we won, and I'm pitching in the finals, and Frank is on the bench, and I'm after throwing 10 games straight. So I'm running out of gas. So Frank comes in the fifth inning, and it's a 3-2 game. Adam Smith is up for Kitchener, and we're playing with Owen Sound, and Adam Smith he's hitting the ball really well this day. And Frank comes out, it's a full count. Sean goes out to him and says, "Frank, can you throw a rise ball by him right now?" And Frank goes, "Yeah, I think so." Sean goes, "Okay." Walks back in, gets in the crouch, calls a drop ball. Outside, Frank hits the spot, strikes him out. Frank comes back in the bench, goes, "Why would you come out and ask me if I could throw a rise ball by him? And you call a drop ball?" Sean goes, "Because you didn't fucking convince me."
Yeah.
Because I didn't do it. So he was that kind of a catcher, man. He was a treat to play with. And he's in the Hall of Fame now, and well deserved.
Yeah. He's a beauty. From a catching standpoint, one of the best all time ever. And what I think Sean will go down as is that he's probably one of the most well-respected among his peers. When you talk about he's a ball player's ball player. He's probably the best. He's the best catcher in the game's favorite catcher, right? They all look up to him, and what a treat to play with, and just a great guy. What a guy!
Even as that's what I'm saying. Even as a person, like there's guys who are great ball players who are just fucking assholes. That's the last thing you want to do is go talk to them. But Sean would go out of his way to talk to you, and he learned that growing up too. Like they said, playing with all the guys from back home, he looked up to somebody, you know, somewhere down the road where I want to be that guy. Right. And he did. Like Timmy Wall was a catcher from the US like that. And Bruce Castleman was another guy, big catcher. And that was Sean's goal, to be as good as those guys. And he did. He succeeded. Like he excelled at and became better than what those guys were.
Awesome, man. What a treat. What a treat being able to, you know, go through most of your career, like with your brother as receiver, well, from the Canadian side anyway. Yeah. And then, you know, scattered IC event. Pretty cool, man.
He's nuts. The guys that get behind the plate without a chest protector, I know it's a bit of an old school mentality, and I'm not sure if there's many left in the game that do it, but to see guys at that level get back there without a chest protector, what the fuck was he thinking?
I don't know, man. And even before that, like back in our parents' day, Hilly, went back home in Newfoundland, like they just wore a mask and a jock. They didn't wear shin pads. I used to see that. I was there like, these guys are nuts. But even like when Sean then played, and I don't know too many guys who didn't wear chest pads. I think he was one of the only ones. And I guess his theory was if he's going to get hit with a foul ball, it's going to hurt no matter what, if he's got a chest pad on or not. But I remember one of our first events he went to with the national team. We went to Mexico or whatever. And they made him wear it, because international events, they made him wear it. And you just saw him. He was like a tin man. He couldn't wear this thing. Like he got Bongo to cut more pieces out of it. it was just like he was wearing a little apron by the time it was said and done. He had it on, he had the straps around it, but there wasn't much to the chest pad, I'll tell you that. But by the ISF rules, he had to wear it.
Yeah, but I don't think the logic adds up there with, you're going to get hit anyway. You can run without shoes, but running with sneakers helps a lot.
Yeah. I don't see it too often now. I'm trying to think who.
I don't think there's anyone left, is there?
No, I know. Like here locally, I don't think Blair where he catches Sean here locally, but I don't think he wears one. But
to be honest, they make them right now where they're like they make them now like they're like body armor, so they fit to your body. Like back in the day, remember though, they were like a just big piece of the couch you were wearing, for fuck's sakes.
Just kind of flopping back and forth when you're throwing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just so awkward. Like you'd roll them up or put them in the bat bag, or no one took care of the stuff like they do now. Like the old thing, honestly, it was like a big wet blanket you put on yourself behind home plate. Must have weighed fucking 40 pounds. Right. So you didn't want to wear it.
Yeah. And I talked to Sean a few times about it, because when I know he doesn't do it as a badge of honor, it's just, he's a better catcher without it. And he wasn't able to do the things that he was great at with a pad on compared to not. And for a guy getting the ball to second base or pick you off at first base, he was unreal. I think I remember telling you guys this story one time when we were playing them in the ASAs and Folkart was throwing. You guys were with Jarvis, or he was Jarvis, and I get in the batter's box and Sean says, "Sorry, Lolly." I say, "Oh fuck, I know. Here we go." And next pitch, Folkart drills me in the back arm, right on the forearm, and it killed. Like I went down to first base and told Sean off, called Folkart everything in the book, get on first base. I'm young, full of piss and vinegar. I said, "Fuck this, I'm going first pitch. I'm showing him up. I'm leaving 5 steps early. They're not going to call me out after getting beaned. I'm in physical anguish." So I'm allowed 5. You're allowed 5 steps. Took off. First pitch. Sean threw me out standing up. So I got to go back in with a broken arm, broken pride, and just looking like a complete idiot. But that's
between your legs.
Yeah, it's just he was that good as a catcher, making his pitchers better. But it just pissed you off how quick he could throw you out.
Yeah. It's like I said, he studied the game, man. Like he made it easy on us pitching because he knew every batter, what we faced him. Could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the road that we already faced this guy. And we remember the count. Like we remember like, oh, this guy we're in a full count and he hit a rise ball. So, okay, let's not go deep on him this time. And like, that's the thing. He remembered, he made me think of it as well. Like everybody we faced, we knew what we faced him the last time we faced him. And maybe that guy wasn't thinking that, but he did. He studied all these hitters. He studied everybody. And it was fun to watch a little book, and he wrote down picking pitchers and all this stuff and what he had. And he listened to everyone, what they were saying too. And he because I like picking pitchers. I was pretty good at it. I learned that from Whitey and Colin and even Sorensen and all these other guys. And then Sean picked up on it too, and he'd start getting in on it and writing all this stuff down. And I tell you, if you know what every pitcher in this league is throwing, and you know what every hitter can hit, a lot easier game all of a sudden, right? And not everyone studied that stuff, but he did. He made the game easier for himself.
And good on Obi for doing that. I mean, Robbie, like us pitchers out there, we're doing enough. I mean, we shouldn't have to do all the thinking. And all let somebody else have some input here on the outcome.
I agree, Hilly. Fuck
Jesus Christ, we're out there sweating our balls off.
Yeah, all the work, fuck, coming in every day. Fucking.
Oh man, I need to get buddies in this game that aren't pitchers or think they're pitchers, because you're friggin' exhausting to listen to. When we look back at the career and playing ball, and we've been lucky to play it together, but it's some of the stuff that the playing ball at that level for some of these teams that they give you the opportunities that you couldn't dream of. And one that we got was
I know where this is going.
In 2013 November, after we won with Hill United, I was single at the time, and
the sponsorship group offered to fly everybody and a guest down to the Bahamas to celebrate
Their date. Everyone in their date.
And their date. Yeah. And it was a weird move on my part, but, and thank you to the team for not calling me out on my shit, but they allowed me to take Robbie O'Brien down there, which when we showed up at the airport, that's hilarious. And the reason I chose Robbie wasn't just because with no thought into it. The reason I wanted to bring you down there was to say thank you for everything that you did for me in my career. And not only on the ball field, but just we became best buddies through that. But in 2006, when you offered to take me into your home and brought me in with Beck and Maddie, and it was a life event that changed things for me. It changed our friendship for sure. And I always wanted to repay you for it. And then just so to get that opportunity, it wasn't just I wanted to take one of my favorite people down to the Bahamas. It was that's why I wanted to do it. I just want to clear that up. But that trip.
Well, did you ever?
Holy fuck. It's getting real dusty in here now.
Oh,
Holy
fuck.
Christ.
Hold on. There's a tear coming out. I got to get rid of that fuck. Give me a sip of rum here. But it was a trip of a lifetime. I can remember Dale Levy's face. I still remember Dale Levy's face when we're walking in the air, and everyone has their wives with them and her girlfriends, and you and I are coming down the fucking escalator together, and even Ryan Thompson, they're all like, "What the fuck? How is Obi coming on this trip?" And they come over to me and said, "I don't know how you guys pulled this off either." And they're talking to me and said, "You must have the most understanding wife on the planet, or you got something on her. Like, how the fuck are you on this trip right now?" I said, "Man, my wife loves me." And I said, and Lolly's my boy, man. This is what's happening. Man, holy fuck. What a trip that was.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget seeing you, two of you coming down to Hall. Me and Marsh were walking up to, I don't know what we're doing, get some water or something. And two of you we were on different flights. Two of you guys coming down to Hall with the trolley boy. Got your luggage on the trolley, smiling here from here, your duty-free bags in the other hand, and like the booze and stuff. Oh, I'll never forget it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the best fucking date anyone could have brought.
Oh, man, you're champ.
That was some trip.
We got a couple of stories from that trip too. We got to go out and watch the George St. Pierre fight out on Kenny's yacht.
Kenny's ship. It was a ship.
Yeah, it was a ship. That was unreal. Everyone laid out on the deck with the TV coming up and watching the George St. Pierre fight. And then we went into the casino and we all had a bit of fun there. And
that's not even the best part. The next morning then, so Kenny remember when he rented where he shut down the whole lazy river for us all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going through the lazy river and there's a couple tubes that you go in. So who's a couple? Me and Lolly, we got to get in the fucking tube together. And so the fucking lifeguard, they're shutting down the lazy river for everyone. They're like arms around each other, putting their legs around each other, jumping in the tube, and off we go. And then I was like, holy fuck. That was a trip and a half. And how about Lolly? How about you up on top of the ship with what's his name from Aerosmith?
Stevie Salas, yeah, he came down too, and I think Shalesy told me that he had something to do with Aerosmith. So I spent 20 minutes trying to see if he wanted to start a band called Lollysmith. He had wanted fuck all to do with me, so that didn't end well for my singing career. But there's a few laughs and stories I look back on from when I lived with you. So in 2006, when I lived with you, and then I lived with you again when I was between apartments in Toronto.
Oh, Lord, Lolly, there's a few stories.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I don't know, we touched on it, Lolly. Remember, I came home with these pants one time, Hilly, and Lolly goes to me, he goes, "Hey, what kind of pants are these?" I said, "Guess." And he goes, "I don't know, Old Navy." I was there, no, like Guess. And he goes, "What, Diesel?" I was there, "No, fucking Guess." And he goes, "I'm sick of playing this game. Just tell me what they are." I'm thinking, holy fuck, man, they're fucking Guess jeans. Like, just read them. Yeah, oh man.
Man, I'm used to going to friggin' Blue Notes or American Eagle. That's where I got
Piper's back home. Piper's.
Yeah,
that's where you
went to get our jeans. Oh man, I was so frustrated.
when I was dead serious too, but there's, no, man, that's looking back now. Some of the times in that house, man, some of the best times of my life. Wicked.
Yeah.
So really, Ob, you had three kids for most of your playing career.
That's a true fact, Hilly. You asked my wife that. Yeah. He fit in pretty good. You know what? He started off. Well, when he first came here, he was like, 160 pounds, braces, pimpled face, and I was like, who the fuck is this kid? All he did was eat ketchup and Pepsi and bologna.
That's what I said about him
the whole time.
That's what I said the whole fucking career.
Yeah, and then it led into exploring his food a little bit. You know, I'm glad we had the Noof because the restaurant he came down and he just started eating more things. Started with chicken fingers and then we got into fish. Like it was. Did you ever hear the first time Hilly where Lolly he tried to drink rum? Did you ever hear this story before?
I don't think I have.
Well, yeah, he was living with me at the time. So, and we were playing with Aurelia. So we go to Allentown, Pennsylvania. So Numbnuts here tries to drink rum with me and Sean. So Sean's a well-known rum drinker and myself, you know. So we're at a bar and he decides to drink rum with us that night. And all of a sudden, about 2 hours in, he's living with me now for a full year. Him and I are butting heads and we go outside to fight. He calls me outside. We're gone. We're out in the middle of a parking lot on the same team, living together. We just flew here together and we're looking to fight. Sean comes out in the middle of us, slaps two of us in the face. And he goes, for fuck's sakes, get inside. He goes, I had enough of this shit. Hasn't drank rum since.
Nope.
That's funny. I've been on the other end of those conversations with him. So now I know what happened. He's been sneaking rum.
But boys, we also play softball and
we did too.
But we want to dig in a little bit to some of the experiences you had playing. You got a career, that I don't know, 20 plus years playing all the way from Newfoundland to ISC, international events. Got to travel the globe. When you played with Circle Tap, and I know when I first got introduced to you when we played with Aurelia, it was really cool to see how tight you and Denny were. Denny Brucker, who's no longer with us now, but you guys were best buddies, and it was so cool to see that not only a player-coach relationship, sponsorship, top player, but you guys are best friends. When you think about Denny, what do you think about?
Man, there's so much I can thank him for, to be honest. Like it's what I have in my life today, it wouldn't be without him. Like if there was a second father figure that I had, like, let's call it spade a spade. How many people were on the road with their coach and was a roommate? You know, like him and I were roommates for 6-7 years, right? Like it was weird. It was so cool. Like he treated me like a ball player, but he treated me like one of his own as well. Like I've been to his house many times with Sue and his daughters, and you know what? He was just a great man. I love the game. He, you know, hey, big boy, on it. You know, we know what he said. Like he was just a great man. He knew the game. You know, he played the game. He loved to have fun after the game. You know, we always went out and had beers together. We went to dinner. We did everything together. And, you know, when I found out he was sick, that was tough. You know, it was because, you know, eventually what was going to happen. And he had a fight with what he had. And it was a sad day when he finally left the ball world and left the world like in life. And it was tough. Like he was such a great man, and he did so much for me and my family. Like I could never ever repay someone like him that, you know, I could try to give back to the game as much as I can, but he was like Rod Peterson to Todd Martin, or, you know, like there's other comparisons out there, but he was that guy to me. He really was. Yeah.
I think that relationship he had with you, I know was really, it was extra special for him, but he has that impact and had that impact on a lot of top players in the game. But when I think about you and your career, for me, in my mind, you're always going to be tied to Denny that way. Hilly, and you got to play with Denny at all? I know you guys became buddies over the years too, just either crossing paths, but did you play with Denny at all?
I never got to play with Denny. No, he didn't coach that ASA team. And when me and you got picked up by Kitchener that year, did he?
No. Yes.
That was Kelly McGiffin, was it? Or
Kelly,
was it Kelly?
Kelly McGiffin. I feel like it was Kelly, maybe. Kelly and Hawk,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's shocking. I can't remember that.
Anyway,
I think it was.
I don't think I played for Denny, but in this game, there's certain coaches, past and present, that kind of you look at and they just demand and get that level of respect, not from just from their own players, but from the opposition and the other players and the umpires and fans. And I look at Denny, much like Rod Peterson. I played with Rod, of course, but I look at Denny, and he's certainly one of those coaches. And I didn't get to play with him, but every time we'd be, whether it was Boys of Summer, or he was coaching Circle Tap, or he was coaching Kitchener, or he was coaching U.S. national team, I'd always say hi and just have, a few words, quick chat. And I did see him. The last time I see him was at Circle Tap, a few years ago, but just a very nice man, and certainly well respected in the softball community, and obviously, if you look at his accolades, a tremendous coach.
He was one of those guys that would anybody could talk to him too. Like, you could be a kid just came from Argentina and just barely spoke English. Like, Denny would go out of his way to try to talk to you, right? And he was with every player. He had his favorites, he really did. And don't get me wrong, and I was one of them. And you guys were Lolly, you were one of them, and my brother Sean and Chris Miljavic. There was a lot of guys that were his boys, and it was fun playing for him. It really was, because you knew you were in the lineup every day. There was no denying it. No matter if you went 0 for 20, he knew you were that 21 hit. You were going for a grand slam that day. Like, you were doing something big, because he had that faith in you, and you knew that yourself, right? That you were going to be in the lineup no matter what you did. If you were struggling, he was going to work you out of it. And that was a cool part of it.
Yeah, he was a strategic coach. He coached the game the way he felt it was best, but he balanced being a really good players coach as well. And I got a couple of funny Denny stories when I think back. Just makes me smile. When we first brought that Aurelia team together, he and Bob wanted to fly everybody into Elora. And we're going to have a team meeting in February at the Goofy Newfie at your bar. So everyone flew in, and me and Blair Ezekiel, we traveled together all for years and years back then. And so we flew up, and then it's snowing down, whatever. So we go and we have our middle of February. We have our meeting at the bar, and then you got the place closed down for us. So we, let's team bonding.
Good place for a meeting for two fellas. Blair flying up.
Oh, it's wicked. We just like ducks to water. We took into that place, and this before I really knew Robbie, because it was later that year we moved in with you. But anyway, we went and we all got into her, and I'm rooming. No, this is the second year. We got a year under our belt here, I think, Rob. I think this was the second year with Aurelia. We flew up because everyone and
everyone knew each other.
Everyone knew each other. So yeah, it was the second year. So we get into her, and me and Blair are rooming with Denny. So he goes home a little early, and Denny can hang with the boys all night, but he went home early this night. So me and Blair, we roll in around 2 a.m. and I'm covered in snow. Just that snow that sticks to your jacket. And I said, Blair, watch this now. So we go in the motel room, and Denny's there laying down, snoring. He got his Homer Simpson underwear on.
Oh, yeah. He's little tidy whities.
Yeah. And I'm covered in snow, and I just run over and jump on him, give him a big beer hug. And he jumped up, frightened the shit out of me. He said, what the fuck are you guys doing? I said, Denny, wake up.
Big boy.
Hey, big boy. And anyway, short to Denny's form, he just broke down laughing. It's a memory that sticks out to me about Denny. But I think it was 2007, after that year when Prawn was becoming prominent in the game, making coaching decisions, sponsorship decisions tough. I received a handwritten letter from Denny on this yellow piece of just padded paper. It showed up in the mail in Newfoundland, and it was just a handwritten letter from Denny saying how much he enjoyed coaching me over the past couple of years and liked me as a ball player, and really hope that I choose to stay on with the team. And it's something that I'll never forget and meant a lot. And it played a lot into the decision to stay and play with him versus go somewhere else. But it's the little things like that made Denny special and just made him the man he is, and why so many people in the game love and respect him.
True enough. Yeah. He was a great man.
You talked about some international people getting the ball players that have had the opportunity to go to Newfoundland, and they'll all vouch that it's so great to play there. When, not sure what year it was, but we hosted the Hill United Chief tournament on the Rock. And so the Chiefs team came down, had the local teams within the league, and then the Toronto Gators came down. And Toronto Gators are ranked number 1 in the world, and Chiefs are ranked number 2 at this point, and got all load of press, paper, news, everything. And you had Falkart versus Cleary. It was awesome. But I know the Gators team was also wanting that to be a team building event. And anyway, they first time for a lot of these international players to experience St. John's, experience George Street. At the end of the day, the Toronto Gators were ranked number 1 in the world, and they finished last in that tournament. So I think the headline in the paper is that number 1 Gators ranked 5th in Newfoundland.
George Street does that to some teams.
But then they went out and won the world.
2016, I think that was.
So
yeah, 2016, I think that was.
Yeah, they went out and won the Worlds. They beat us in the final, where Shane Boland hit another Newfie hit a walk-off home run. So could have been something in the water down there on George Street that brought those guys closer together.
It's quite interesting to see, fellas. Like, even in the game now, where there's so many big games won here and there, and somewhere in that line score, a Newfie came up with a big hit or a big play, and to bring that team to the next level. And I'm not saying that just to pump all the Newfies hats or anything, but you know what? It's really, really true that there's so many Newfie ball players out there now all over the world that are they're not like the 7th or 8th guy on the team, or they're not a bench player. They're the core guys. Like, they're the 3 and 4 guys, leadoff guy. They're the guys that are the go-to guys pitching. Like, it's pretty impressive to see, because there's not a lot of that all over the world. Like, maybe Argentinians are starting to do that now because they're over in hordes. And it used to be like the Kiwis doing it, now the Aussies, but they're countries. Like, they're big countries coming over. Like, these are Newfies. Like, we're a fucking province, man. It's like the population of Newfoundland compared to the population of Argentina and New Zealand and Australia. And it's quite impressive. It really, really is.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm most proud about our province and what we've done is we're a smaller province anyway in terms of population, but where the softball players come from is the Avalon Peninsula, which is even smaller again. It's a very small sliver in terms of geography in Newfoundland. And all these great ball players, not only the ones that are playing now, but 20, 30, 40 years ago, there are just as many ball players that could have gone away and played. But what I pick up when you're talking about, especially in recent years, in a lot of the international tournaments, there is contribution, or at least a presence from the Newfies that are playing now. But that's all stemming back from when Hilly and I were breaking into the ISC. There was a handful, maybe 3 or 4 players playing away, you and Sean. And then we had, closer to home was Colin Abbott flying away, playing the ISC. We had to follow it on Al's fastball back then. But you see Colin playing with Team Canada and being the number 3 hitter, regarded as the best player in the world. And then you see on that stage where there's only one, at that time, back in the early 90s, there's only one of us there, and he's still the guy coming through with the big hit, leading the country on the international stage. And that, to have that at such a young age to look up to, and that example, and then to see fast forward 20 years to the presence that's on the international stage from Newfoundland, it's pretty cool to see how the province, softball players in the province, how it's grown to where it is today. but it does all kind of stem back to him really blazing the trail for us, and then living up to it when he got there.
I remember Abby, like when we were younger, and like Abby still traveled to this day, leaving the province, which good for him, man, because that's why I moved away, because I couldn't do that anymore. That 3-hour flight was insane. But I remember him and Sean, we'd go down to the Torbay Rec Center, and we'd have a batting cage in there and do live BP nonstop. And back in the day, Colin threw as well, right? So like I'd be throwing batting practice to him and Sean, and then he'd throw me batting practice. And that was pretty cool too. Like me growing up idolizing Colin and then playing with him many times on many teams. But as a young kid, like 14, 15 years old, throwing the best hitter in the world, live batting practice, that actually helped me, because who better could I throw to, right? If I'm trying to get a guy out and throwing batting practice in a cage, I have the best hitter in the world hitting rockets back at me. I knew I had to change something up.
That's
right?
pretty cool.
Don't throw it down the middle. Well, he's going to kill me with this if I throw it down the middle. So that's when you learn how to throw spots, like hitting corners. And that's how Abby helped me growing up, doing stuff like that as well.
Torbay Rec Center, eh? That's where you did some training?
Yeah.
Well, when I just got shivers when I heard the Torbay Rec Center, because it scarred me to this day. And Obi, you'll probably appreciate this, but the Torbay Rec Center is, when we were playing in the Canada Games, when the team was picked, it was a 2-year program to build up to the tournament. And John Hill and the coaching staff had us do our off-season training in there, team building, get in the gym out of the cold and throw the ball around. So we're staying fresh all year long. That's what I thought the plan was. And I don't know, I'm coming from the Zench area. I don't know all the players on the team that well yet. I definitely don't know John Hill and the coaching staff as well as I do now. So I'm in there, yes, sir. I want to go in, make a good first impression. Whatever's asked of me, let's go. I thought it was softball related. John Hill had a completely fucking different agenda. We're going into military boot camp, and the Torbay Rec Center is humongous. And he says, all right, boys, throw the ball around, get loose. Okay. Yes, sir. Throw the ball around, playing softball. Great. February. Loving it. Right. I feel good. Put the gloves and balls down, guys. Now do 15 laps around the gym. In what? Run around and okay. I don't know, John. Now I'd probably say, Hilly, that's a little, probably a bit aggressive, right? We might want to save some in the tank for the training. So we're out running around and it's hot in there, and then Hilly, those friggin' rowing machines, man.
Oh man. So listen, so he had these stations, right? So one, like I said, facility was huge. So, the pitchers would be down here in one area, and the hitters, they have a batting cage set up in the middle of the place, and then fielders are on the other side, and you're, different stations. And then another station was in the training, the weight room. Yeah. Right. So we go in, you expect, okay, he wants us to lift a few weights there now. I don't know, like building in a weight training program as part of our training. And anyway, so we go in, we don't even lift the weight. He's all gathered around these rowing machines. Right. I forget what they're called, ergometers or whatever the fuck they're called. Yeah. So do you remember, Lolly? Johnny wanted us to row, whatever it was, like, I don't know what it was, 1,000 meters.
1,000 meter in 4 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, whatever it was. It was like 4 minutes, right? So I was like, okay. I was like, maybe, I don't know, maybe we're going to go to the fucking regatta when we're done the Canada Games or whatever. I don't know. So
slide crew, beat out our coach.
This is the old man, right? This is the old man's idea. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to let the old man come up with some kind of test there that I'm not going to ace, right? So I said, I'm going to give her on this machine. I said, fuck him now today, right? So I hop down and just completely have no idea how to do it properly. So I sit down on the machine and strap in the old feet, boy, and I give her. I fucking pull him like a dog. All she could suffer. I did it, whatever we had to do, however many 1,000 meters in 4 minutes or whatever. So that was best kind, right? I'm there sucking wind big time at this point. Haul off the bootstraps. I stand up and then a bit woozy, right? So turn a bit green and a little bit white, a little bit faint. I said, boys, cold towels. Cold towels. So I go over and I got to lay down. I'm just about dead there, right? Sick. All right. So 10 or 15 minutes passed by and I said, all right, I'm going to go out now and hit up another station. I'll jump in the batting cage for a few swings. And of course we get in the batting cage and you want us to bunt 4 or 5. Remember they always want you to bunt the first 4 or 5, right? Yeah. Especially us big bunters. We'll make sure we keep that tool sharp, right?
Bunting's big plan.
Yeah. Big part of our game. So I jump in the cage, first fucking bunt. I got the old thumb wrapped around the barrel of the bat. Ball, boom, crushes my thumb, right? I was just getting over my sickness. Well, I turned fucking green and white again. I got to go over into the bleachers and lie down. And I don't know. This one took quite a while to recover. But to this day, I kid you not, I don't think I've ever been back to the Torbay Rec Center. I don't even know if it's still, the facility is still there. I don't know if it's still a training facility, but I've never been back to that place. And I have no intention to go back to that place.
No, same experience when it came to that rowing machine, getting on there. I never rowed my life, getting on the rowing machine, but you're there trying to impress your dad. I'm going to show him up. I'm just, don't get cut. Don't get cut. Don't pass out. Don't pass out. Don't get cut. Don't pass out or you will get cut. And then, and we get through it, same thing, throw up at the end of it. And it's fine. So we go on and then we go to the Canada Games. We do pretty well, but we finish 4th or 5th, whatever it was. Well, looking back, we had to go. We probably would have won the fucking gold if we had to go rowing.
The 2-man slide crew, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's the one thing Johnny Hill got wrong. He picked the wrong freaking sport to enter us in.
When I used to go to the Torbay Rec Center, we used to go down there, me and Sean, because we lived close to it. So we go down to, because we had memberships being with the Newfoundland programs, whatever. And I go into the rowing. We'd rowed there too, lift the weights. But my rowing partner was fucking Alan Doyle. He'd go down there because he had a membership there. So we'd be down there. Yeah, we were down the rowing together, and we go down to Nolacanelli's later and listen to him play. But it was actually a lot of fun back then. It was pretty cool. He was a great guy.
Oh, getting to do this with you on here has been a treat. I mean, Hilly, we're looking forward to it. Having you on, we could shoot the shit with you all day, but can't thank you enough for coming on, buddy. It's
no, I appreciate it,
awesome.
fellas. It's an honor, actually, man, just to be a part of this with you guys. I hope it explodes. Like you guys go and get a lot of people involved in this, and it's really cool. Just it brings back memories for us too, right? The old stories, and it's, if you don't talk about it, you forget about it, right? So it's actually pretty cool to get all this stuff going, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. I really do.
Thanks, Obes. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for coming on, pal.
Yeah.
Not a problem, buddy.
Big shout out to the Goofy Newfie in Fergus, Ontario, one of the best places you ever be. And love you, buddy. And
love you too, guys.
Yeah. Lucas, Nick, a little bit of rum ragged to take us out. See you, boys.
Ladies man, but I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once they use me. My mother said it was naughty, I should take some years back. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very nice.
And the lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.